KP's Video News, y'all. It's KP's Video News, y'all. It's KP's Video News, y'all. It's KP's Video News, y'all.
That's right. It's KP's Video News, y'all. Yes, indeed. How's everybody doing today? Yep. Shout out to all the family, friends, and all the people out there that enjoy KP's Video News. Keep on enjoying and keep on sharing. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. And yeah, I'm gonna dive right in, folks. I'm gonna dive right in. We have a fascinating stories here, Black history stories that you may not even know about. You know, Black history is rich. It's a rich tapestry, and I mean, it's just the fabric of just about every aspect of American life and culture is intertwined with Black history in the United States. Our favorite way to do, what's going on. We got uh, particular thing. We got 23 Black History Month facts that highlight historical Black figures who accomplished landmark first, not seconds, first in the country of the United States. Yep, telling you, man. I mean, and it's so many inventions that Black people have created: the traffic light, the vacuum cleaner, the broom, the mop, the cotton gin. Oh man, it just goes on and on and on and on. A lot of things that you take for granted: the answer machine, fiber optics that your this computer line is going over right now, was created by a Black woman named Shirley Jackson. Uh, Call waiting was also created by Professor Shirley Jackson. So, you know, we have a rich tapestry, man. Yep. The receiver on a telephone was invented by a Black man, even though they gave Thomas Edison the credit for the whole thing. He did not create the whole phone. So, having said that, let me get started here. And it's like some, uh, people here that you probably never heard of, and that's why I'm doing this particular episode. And in 1878, legendary soprano Marie Williams became the first Black musician to sing at the White House after she performed for President Rutherford Hayes and First Lady Lucy Webb Hayes in the Green Room. So, 1878, because we're going all the way back to the first Beyonce going to the White House to sing for the president. 1878, not 1978, 1878. So George Washington Johnson went on to become the first African American to make a commercial record after he was discovered as a street performer in 1890. So that's your first recording artist, Black recording artist, George Washington Johnson, recorded his first performance in 1890. So you can't say we don't have history here. Ethel Waters, the first Black performer to appear on TV after her one night variety special, The Ethel Waters Show, was aired. And that's the picture that I have there. That's Ethel Waters. Her TV show aired in 1939. All right. Very few people even had TVs at that time. But the people that did have it, Ethel Waters was the first. And I always thought it was Nat King Cole that was the first Black performer to appear on TV, but I was wrong. It was Ethel Waters. Yep. So, for her role in Gone with the Wind, Hattie McDaniel won the first Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress in 1940, becoming the first African American to win an Oscar. That's right. Here we go, folks. So we got major firsts in science, math, and engineering. though he was born enslaved. You all, most of the people know about this particular person. George Washington Carver later studied botany as the first black student at Iowa State University and was responsible for creating 300 products using the peanut, including dyes, plastic, and gasoline. Made gasoline out of peanuts, man. Come on now. You say we ain't tough. After becoming the very first African American and first woman to graduate with a master's degree from the University of Hawaii, Alice Ball went on to invent the first successful treatment for Hansen's disease, otherwise known as leprosy, in 1916. It wasn't until years after her tragic death at the young age of 24 that Ball even got proper credit for the work. Yep, so the person that created the first successful treatment for leprosy was a black female woman at the she graduated with a master's degree at the University of Hawaii. She did that all the way back in 1916. All right. In 1956, Gladys West was hired as a mathematician by the U.S. Naval Proving Ground, and it was there she invented an accurate model of the Earth, which was then used as the foundation for the creation of the Global Positioning System, GPS. It's 1956. All right? Yeah, okay, folks. Keep on listening. After graduating from college at the age of 18, Katherine Johnson began working in aeronautics, and following the formation of NASA, she performed the calculations that sent astronauts into orbit and eventually to the moon in 1969. Katherine Johnson, and you saw it, and all you people that saw the movie Hidden Figures, Katherine Johnson, you know, mathematician, man. Mathematician, brother. All right, 1987, Mae Jemison became the first African American woman to be admitted into NASA's astronaut training program. And just over 5 years later, in 1992, she flew into space on the Space Shuttle Endeavour, becoming the first African American woman in space. That's right. You know, so hey, we get some rich tapestry out there, man. Some rich history. So during the 1904 Olympic Games in St. Louis, track and field athlete George Poage became the first African American to win an Olympic medal after earning a bronze medal in both the 220 and the 440 hurdles. So that was back in 1904 at the Olympic Games in St. Louis. Jackie Robinson made his debut at the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1947 and marked the first African American to play in the Major League Baseball since Moses Fleetwood in 1884, making to end the racial segregation in professional baseball. So Jackie Robinson was not the first black athlete to play out in the so-called major leagues. It was Moses Fleetwood in 1884. Moses Fleetwood. And then all of that segregation came in. So it wasn't until 1947, 50 years later, that another African-American man, well, over 50 years, almost 60 years later. So, in 1950, Althea Gibson became the first black tennis player to compete at the U.S. National Championships. And just 6 years later, she made history again as the first black athlete to win a tennis Grand Slam tournament after winning the 1956 French Open. So, hey, you guys know about Venus and Serena. Althea Gibson in 1950 was out there doing her thing. Yep. Yeah. But although he ended up only playing 45 games during his career, Willie O'Ree was always remembered as National Hockey League's first black player, and he continues to fight for more diversity in the sport. However, the game of hockey was created by not African Americans. They were African slaves that escaped from the United States that went to Canada that had created hockey from an African game that used to be played with a stick and a ball. And since it was frozen up there, they played the game on ice. And there was a black hockey league in Canada that was the predecessor of the hockey league, the NHL, the National Hockey League. So all those people talking about black people shouldn't be playing hockey, it's a white man's sport and all that other stuff. Black people created hockey, created it. So keep, know the history. You got to know the history. So African Americans held their first large scale convention in Philadelphia in 1830, and gathering, uh, which marks the start of the National Negro Conventions movement, led to the formation of the American Society of Free Persons of Color. Bishop Richard Allen, who founded the African Methodist Episcopal Church, was made president of the society, and he worked to coordinate civil rights efforts locally. That's all the way back in 1830, not 1930. Blacks had been fighting for freedom. And in the final convention movement in 1864, presided over black abolitionist Frederick Douglass, led to the founding of the National Equal Rights League, an organization that pushed for political rights for black Americans as compensation for military service in the Revolutionary and Civil Wars. Our history goes as far as serving in the military, Revolutionary, and Civil Wars. We fought for the freedom of this country. So in 1870, the Mississippi State Legislature sent Hiram Revels to fill a vacancy in the U.S. Senate during the Reconstruction, making him the first African American senator. And though Revels' term in the Senate only lasted a year, he became an outspoken opponent of racial segregation and broke new ground for African Americans in Congress. After working several years as a civil rights lawyer, Thurgood Marshall became the first African American to serve on the U.S. Supreme Court. He was officially nominated by President Lyndon Johnson in 1967, and he served as justice until 1991. In 1968, Shirley Chisholm became the first African American woman to win a seat in Congress. 4 years later, she became the first black candidate for a majority nomination of the President of the United States. Barack Obama became the first black American president of the United States, and after his historic election in 2008, and he was reelected again in 2012 and completed an eight-year term. So, also this is, now I'm talking about some trailblazers in art, literature, and fashion. Back in 1859, Harriet Wilson published the autobiography, Our Sketches from the Life of a Free Black, making her the first African American author to publish a novel. The novel was later lost for over 100 years until it was reprinted with a critical essay by Henry Louis Gates Jr. in 1983. But she wrote the novel back in 1859. That's Harriet Wilson. She was the first published in first black in America to publish the autobiography, and known as the first African American professional photographer. Gordon Parks was hired by Life magazine as their first black staff photographer in 1948 after publishing a photo essay on the life of a Harlem gang leader. He remained at the magazine for 2 decades, where he took pictures of everyone from Muhammad Ali to Malcolm X. And Gwendolyn Brooks became the first black person to win a Pulitzer Prize in 1950 for her book Annie Allen, which chronicles the evolution of a young black girl into womanhood through poetry. That's Gwendolyn Brooks, the first black person to win a Pulitzer Prize. And in addition to designing one of the most famous wedding dresses in history, the gown worn by Jacqueline Bouvier when she married John F. Kennedy in 1953, Anne Lowe created a number of designs for high society women, earning a reputation as the first renowned African-American fashion designer. Today, her work is exhibited in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. So, you can learn more about Black History Month at ASALH. That's ASALH.org. And I'm telling you, man, We have a rich, 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 rich history. Don't let them tell you that, oh, your history didn't start until you got to the United States and you was just you were a slave and that's all you ever were. Don't believe the lies, folks. Right now, you see all those racists out there that are trying to get rid of Black history. They call this trying to call it critical race theory, and it's garbage. It's garbage because if that's critical race theory, then the hypocritical race theory is trying to force kids to learn about George Washington chopping down a cherry tree and how honest Abe Lincoln was. They try to force you to learn that history, but they don't want to teach any other history. That's what they're trying to work toward, not teaching any other history in this country outside of white history in the schools. So we have to fight back by doing just what I'm doing right now, sharing this history. And it's a rich, 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 like I said, a rich, rich tapestry of history here. And I'm going to try to bring up some African history. I want to bring up some African history because our history goes back to Africa, to Timbuktu, where all the people from Greece and Rome went to learn in the universities that were already created in Timbuktu in Africa. It was Africans, the civilization started in Africa, and Socrates and Aristotle and all these guys went to Africa to learn, and then they went back to Europe, to Greece and to Rome, and they tried to make them like, oh, they're the smartest people in the world. As Socrates, they want to quote him over in Greece, and all this stuff. And so the thing is, they learned everything they learned from Africa, in Africa, from African scholars. So let's get that out there too. And don't forget, there was other civilizations before the Egyptian civilization, and why people try to separate Egypt from Africa like it's not even part of the continent of Africa, just like uh, uh, Israel is part of Africa, and they try to call it, oh, it's the Middle East. That's not the Middle East, man. Come on. The Middle East, if you want to consider geographically, that would probably be India. Anyway, you know who it is? You know who it is, y'all. It's KP Video News, y'all. Black History Month. Black History Month.
News, y'all.
Black History Month, y'all.
News, y'all.